do it and kind of move on. You know, you don't really have that time. So I think that's really good about what we do, and us being able to come in more helps a lot. I know in my experience, I didn't go in as much because for some reason, my teachers didn't want me in there. They liked me as a person. But a lot of teachers kind of want to do their thing, and they don't really like a lot of distractions. So as a co-teacher, are there times where you feel like certain teachers in some years you have difficulties with kind of merging in with their special needs students?
I've been lucky.
Oh, good.
All of my teachers have been very receptive.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be hard at times to do what you need to do with a student when it's a lot of interactions, because a lot of times the kids work together and they work in groups, and it can get a little loud.
Right, and I'm sure that's part of the con sometimes, even with stations and moving around. And so the activities that I spearheaded or we chose were inferencing skill strips and photo fish verbs, and that's just to attack those goals that we had in bold. And then for the station where they were sitting and working on the computer and doing activities, which hopefully you guys will continue to use, and I'll kind of explain it to you a little bit more, just kind of how to go further than what we're working on, is Kuya.com and SpeakingofSpeech.com. I mean, these websites are full of language. I mean, you guys saw specifically what we were working on, but I'd like to definitely take you in and let you see what it can really do, because there are things you can even print off from the website, okay? Because most of the things they were doing were live, okay? So we're almost done here. And so, experience pros and cons, and so some of these I got from listening to you guys and just watching, and just kind of knowing what it feels like to be, what it feels like to be pushing into the classroom. So, what would you say were, Ms. Gamble, definite, let's start with positive for station teaching or jumping around in groups for language?
You can isolate skills based on students' needs.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you think clearly the whole class has benefited from this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think that, because even in some districts I know, they actually have language classrooms where speech therapists actually teaches.
Nice. Language arts?
Language art, it's not really language arts, but it's a language class, but the speech therapist kind of teaches, but we don't have teaching degrees. So I know that makes it a little murky, but I think at one point Gwinnett was doing it, and I think maybe somewhere even in Florida. Because the IEPs we get from Florida a lot of times, kids are speech only, but they have academic language goals. And it says they went to language class 5 hours a week or something. So, I know we're way far from that. I'm not even sure some of the therapists would want to do something like that, because a lot of them prefer to be on the island. I know, some of us prefer to get off the island and, mingle with the common people. But, and so what were some of you'd say the difficulties with the station teaching and pushing in?
I just think the most difficult thing is if you're not right on schedule, and then you come in and you're ready to do your thing, but teacher's still wrapping this up, and then you're like, well, what about me? And so then it doesn't always flow how you kind of imagine it in your head. But I mean, the ideal flow is awesome, but just the execution sometimes isn't always there.
And because the time, I mean, everybody's on their own, and I think unfortunately a lot of times teachers are stuck on lessons because everybody's not getting it. So they're doing their best to make sure everybody is grasping the concept. But then I know leaders and people coming in are like, wait a minute, your schedule says A, B, and C.
Right.
You're still on A or whatever. And I know that's very difficult to experience as well. And so for moving on and kind of wrapping it up, I think I have takeaways, but I wanted to do the next steps. Then the takeaways is, next steps I think for me with spearheading this is definitely, grabbing my cluster SLPs to see who's familiar with it, who pushes in, or who's interested in learning more about pushing in. I know a few of them do, but I know most of them do not. And then sometimes teachers will even say, he's in speech? Oh, I didn't even know he was in speech. Oh, we have a speech therapist? So things like, I'm telling you guys, it happens. So that's one thing for my part of my next step. And then just gathering information about other collaborative methods that speech therapists can do, because once again, I think we need to get off of our island, but I know it's difficult. And then another is to have everybody just review their goals and make sure they're aligned as possible closely to the Georgia standards. We don't want to be working on something that's not beneficial for the kid in the classroom. And then encouraging SLPs to communicate more with teachers so that they're aware of what we can provide as language specialists. I think, once again, a lot of speech therapists have really cool ideas, but they don't share them, okay, especially when it comes to language. And then my takeaways. My takeaways actually looks like the next steps a little bit, but there should be more collab. We talked about that already. I think general ed teachers need more training to better serve students with disabilities. Not to attack them, but I know we've all experienced that. Like, wait a minute, read his IEP. He's doing the best he can right now.
Right.
And a lot of times that's even with behavior.
Yeah.
You know, this kid is on the table, but have you read his IEP? This
His
is
behavior
nothing.
planner.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, this is nothing. I mean, last year he was throwing cars. And then the student needs more. Students need more opportunity to employ the strategies learned in the classroom in other settings within the school. And that you talked about that a little bit with transfer and generalization of skills. Even if we're working on it here, we need that same kid to know. You know, Albert, you mentioned we need Albert to know you're doing it in here. Go in the classroom and do the same thing. Like, we need to help these kids or make sure that they're making the connection. All they know is this is speech. I'm in speech, I need to do this, I need to do that. But then when they go to classroom, everything just falls apart. Okay, so we need that to happen. Classroom teachers should become more creative with teaching, to better capture the many personalities of the students in the classroom. I'm clear on everybody's busy, everybody's got something to do and they need to teach, but sometimes I'm sitting in classrooms observing and I'm bored. So if I'm bored, you know the kids are bored. You know, so I think that's something else we need to work on for instructing students. And then the last one is students with disabilities should be held to higher standards, especially those with normal intelligences. So, you know, ISLD kids, a lot of them have normal intelligence. They just, you know, learn a little bit differently. So just because he has an IEP doesn't mean we don't need to push him. Okay, and I know a lot of kids feel like, oh, I got an IEP. And some of them these days, they're smart enough to know that's a crutch for me. You know, I'm in special ed or I'm special needs, and they feel like that allows them to take a shortcut and not really have to do much. So I know you kind of probably deal with that quite a bit. I'm not sure if they actually say it out loud, but I've heard that.
Well, I've gotten an IEP from another county that's like, due to his, you know, cognitive delays, like, this is as good as it gets. Like, kind of like with the goal, and I was just like, I was just kind of taken aback of how it was worded, because I was just kind of like, that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Did you understand that when you met the kid? I mean,
not really. I mean, I just feel like I've been just probing different things with them, because I'm like, if there's more we could be doing, I want to be doing that, not just, you know, this is all we need to do now.
Here is something though. I know with speech, for example, as a special ed teacher, we provide our teachers with the IEPs, right? We don't tell them the goals though. So if a teacher was more knowledgeable of their goals, be it speech or any academic or behavior, whatever it is, I think that it could cross over. I know you said something about transferring. We can kind of work on those things, not just in language, but language is in everything. So we can make it transfer if all of us were working together. But that's hard to do when I don't tell you, hey, this is his goal in speech, or this is his goal in math. This is what we're working on specifically to try to get him to that level of mastery. But it has to be that communication piece that you said.
Yeah. Because it's very easy to be like, these are my goals, these are your goals.
Yeah, but if I just keep it to myself,
right,
and you said that, if I keep it to myself and I don't share, how are we ever going to get that child to where they need to in order to maximize on their level of intelligence?
Right.
I mean, I think that's major. I think the major thing is communication with anything we do in the schools, and I think it's still not enough. I mean, well, you're new. Excuse me, but we've been doing it. But you're awesome though. But we've been doing it long enough to just see that you got some people who are not interested in really, like you said, they just want to worry about their thing and not really anybody else's. And it's almost like, oh, this kid's in speech, take them and go. Or this kid's in special ed, all right, my co-teacher's here, take your group. And I think we need to merge and keep those lines open for communication, because I feel I've been embarrassed to know in meetings before where teachers like, well, I didn't know he was in speech, or I didn't know he had an IEP, or I didn't know all these things. And I'm thinking, that's why we do verification forms. Hopefully you guys are doing them, not to preach to you, but verification forms are for teachers to know.
You're signing off saying, hey, I read off on the IEP.
That's correct. And I know what to do and how to instruct this kid, because everybody's different. Even kids that are not with disabilities, every kid learns differently. We all know that. I'm definitely I think I'm an auditory learner, I think. You know, I can just plug it in. You remember when we were in school, I plug it in and I get 100%. You know, but just like watching, I get kind of, you know, I'm just like, it's not here. So, but anywho, so for the next steps, we will definitely, you know, we'll choose another goal. And then Ms. Thompson already has ideas for activities she would use to tackle those things, because once again, we have a lot of cool materials even in the speech rooms that we could possibly be sharing with you guys, especially when you decide, oh, well, let me break this group off, or let me just do an activity. So it's been a pleasure working with you guys. I've learned a lot, and hopefully you have too, and I think that's it. Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Who's got breakfast?